with Dr. Matheen. She's a nutritionist, dietitian, and a beauty queen. So, ma'am, how did you get into nutrition as a career? What made you choose nutrition?
See, frankly, at that time when I was starting to choose what kind of subjects to do, there are only two streams basically. Either you do sciences or you do humanities. I was always interested in science, so that's why I decided to go into the science field. But my first priority was medicine. So I did apply for medicine, but unfortunately for whatever particular reason I did not join it. And so I started doing nutrition and dietetics. It was a very new branch of studying at that time. So I thought it's something new, let me try it. And then that's how I did my bachelor's in nutrition dietetics. I went on and did my master's, and then we had moved abroad, so I came back and I did my PhD in nutrition from Varma University.
Ma'am, over all these years, do you see any changing trends in diets and in this industry?
Yes. See, when you first start learning about nutrition dietetics, earlier people would talk only about weight loss. Dieting means only weight loss. That's what people were associated with. But now we also have people who are talking about other things also. It's not only weight loss.
Okay.
It's about what are the various kinds of diets that you can follow for a particular issue. Okay, for example, you have these new trends which are coming up. People want to lose weight very quickly, then they go in for these fast track keto diets, or you also have intermittent fasting, and you also have these no carbohydrate diets, all sorts of things. But earlier we used to associate dietetics and nutrition only with hospital-based diets, which means if a person is ill, what kind of food he or she should be taking, when they're admitted, what kind of diets they should follow for diabetes, for a heart disease, for a cancer issue, whatever. That's how the science of nutrition started off. But now it has branched into so many other things now. And I would say that today, nutrition or dietetics is the most sought after profession.
Okay. I understand a lot of sports people, actors, models, they would definitely use services of a dietitian.
Yes.
But for a normal person, a lay person or just a housewife or a man who's having a corporate job, what kind of diet would you suggest to them?
Yeah, see, for anybody, a diet is required, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people think diet means only weight loss. Or if you have some particular condition, then you should have a diet. It's not so. Even to maintain a healthy lifestyle, you need a proper nutritionally balanced diet. Okay, so let's talk about the housewife. So the housewife basically has no time for herself, right?
Yes.
She is all the time running after her children or packing food for the husband or managing the house and managing groceries, so many things. So she hardly has time for herself. So she is only left with what kind of food that the children like, what kind of food that the husband likes. So what the kind of foods that she should be making, we should be educating her on what are the food groups that she should start utilizing, so that it starts with giving a healthy diet for the children. So that is what they grow up and they start following as they grow up, right?
Yes.
So it's very important to educate her on what are the basic kinds of foods that she should include in her daily diet, so that she gets all the nutrients to keep her children free from disease.
Okay.
That's for a housewife. When we're talking about people like IT professionals or somebody who has a desk job or a sedentary lifestyle, they also are stuck to a desk.
Yes.
Hardly any physical activity.
Yes.
So they should be encouraged to follow a diet which maintains their health, which doesn't allow them to put on weight, right? Because a lot of people, because they are sedentary, they tend to put on a lot of weight.
Yes.
Right? So they should be educated to follow again a balanced diet, which includes all food groups, okay, but at the same time doesn't allow them to put on weight, just to maintain themselves free from disease also, and doesn't allow them to put on weight.
Madam, now there is this new thing of calorie counting and calorie deficit.
Right.
How would you recommend a person go about it? Because it's very tedious to actually sit and count those calories.
Right.
I don't know how many people
Right.
do that.
See,
How
frankly
feasible?
speaking, only nutritionists or dietitians actually know what is calorie counting.
Okay.
Actually speaking, because we are taught the basics of how many calories are there in every food, whether it is raw or whether it is cooked. And the calorie will differ whether it is raw food or whether it is cooked food. It depends on the weight of the food, right? So we have the entire nutrition composition table. So we learn it by heart when we are studying, so that we know how many calories are there in each kind of food, so that we are able to give balanced nutritional diets when we plan our meals for our patients. That's how it starts. And then you also have people who have these charts with the approximate calories per serving. For example, 100 grams of bread or 100 grams of rice. 100 grams, we stick to one particular weight. We cannot be learning different weights for different foods, right? So we take it as 100 grams. Let's say 100 grams of bread contains so many calories. 100 grams of rice contains so many calories. 100 grams of dal, so many calories. So people learn those calories by heart. But tell me frankly, how can you actually sit and calculate every single day? It's not practical. So if you ask me, I like to educate patients that don't sit and measure everything. I have a lot of patients who are IT professionals, who are into sports, and they tell me, madam, every day I'm making sure that I have so many grams of protein at every meal. I measure the amount of protein I'm having at each meal. And I tell them, okay, very good, you're able to do it now, but can you do it for a lifetime? Can you continue doing it? People are going to laugh at you 5-6 years from now. Right now you're unmarried. Later on you'll get married, you'll have children, all that. You can't be sitting and calculating for each simple thing. Try and be practical. See, I like to work with the hand. So everybody's hand is different. I say that everybody's body composition is also different. You cannot give one printed diet chart to everybody, or let's say a particular group of people, even teenagers. Teenagers, they have the age group from 13 years up to 19 years, right? So you cannot have one standard diet chart for all teenagers. You cannot have one standard diet chart for all pregnant women. You cannot have one standard diet chart for all infants, right? So everybody's needs are different, everybody's way of digesting food is different. So as I said, I like to work with the hand. So this is, I would say, if you're talking about Indian food, this is the size of the roti that a person should have. So this is going to be the size of my roti, not yours. You should look at your own hand, right?
When I make roti, I should make sure
You should make sure it is of this size.
it's of this size.
This is one portion. Okay? And if you're talking about the amount of ghee, about this much. Size of your thumb. Whether any ghee, whether we're talking about solid fat, whether it is butter or ghee or whatever it is that you're using, this should be the amount of solid fat that you use. This is the amount of fruit that you have, a closed fist. A closed fist is the size of a medium sized fruit. Okay? And you make your hand like this. This is about a portion of whatever you have, grains or pulses or dals as you call them, like that. Alright? And vegetables, of course, the more you have, the better. So you don't need to measure it. If you're talking about meat, then of course you need to measure the inside of your palm. Is the amount of meat that a person can have on a daily basis, and the thickness is only about this. Okay, so I like to work like this with people that I advise, not go by measuring, because you would say cups, but cups are of again different sizes. The cup that you use at home is different to the cup that I use, right? You cannot be going everywhere and carrying your cup. To go to a restaurant, can you carry a cup around?
Of course not.
It's going to look very silly if you ask a person at the waiter or whoever, to tell you that, okay, give me only this much of food. So I say calorie counting, you can do it in your head. How much? You go crazy, isn't it? And the kind of food choices that we have nowadays is so much, is so varied. You talk about even Indian food. Indian food by itself, you can have here in Hyderabad, you could have probably idli or dosa for breakfast, right? True. Lunch can be proper South Indian if you want. You can have maybe a proper thali, vegetarian thali, or you can even try a North Indian like roti and sabzi and dal with some raita. And night you can go to Chinese. You can decide what you want to have, right? In one place itself, in one town or one city itself, there's so much variety of food. And when you talk about the world, it's again much more complex, isn't it? You have too many foods to choose from. So how much of calorie counting will you be able to do in one day? you'll go crazy.
Definitely.
Isn't it? And every time you cannot be sticking to, okay, today I should have only 1600 kilocalories per day. You cannot have the same thing every single day. Some days you may do more activity, you may feel more hungry. Those days you can have more calories. Some days you don't feel too well, you're not able to digest too much of food. Right? Supposing you're ill or you're sick or something, you can't have too much food, right?
Yes.
So in those days you cut down on the number of calories that you have. So I would say approximately in a week, if you stick to all the food groups in a week, and if you stick to your basic calorie requirements in a week, then that's good enough.
Ma'am, what are these food groups? Could you?
Yeah, there are basically 5 food groups. We like to work with 5 food groups. The first food group is all cereals.
Cereals. Okay.
All rice, grains, wheat, millets, all those things will come under the first group. That includes your pasta also.
Okay.
All your pasta, semolina, suji, everything comes into the first group. The second group is all the protein foods, which is all milk products, right? And even the dals, everything comes under this group, and also the non-vegetarian sources like egg, meat, fish, chicken.
So all
Protein,
proteins.
all protein foods will come into this group.
Okay.
The third group is your fruits and green leafy vegetables. Now fruits, obviously all kinds of fruits will come under this group, and also green leafy vegetables. Alright? The fourth group are the roots and tubers. The other kind of vegetables like potatoes, yam, carrot, beetroot, and all other vegetables which are not leafy will come under this group.
Okay.
Okay? Like beans, lady's finger, everything comes under this group. The last group is going to be the fats and oils, which is oil, ghee, butter, cheese, everything. Okay, so these are the basic 5 food groups. It is not essential that you should have all the 5 food groups in every single meal. It's very difficult to do that.
It is.
Yeah. So if you can space it out over a day, very good. If you can't do that, not possible sometimes, right? So if you do it at least within the span of 2 days or 3 days, you see that you get all the 5 food groups. That's good enough.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, ma'am, now there's this new macronutrient, micronutrient. What are these?
See, basically, I'll take you back a little bit. There are 6 basic nutrients.
Okay.
So everybody knows carbohydrates, proteins, fats are the 3 main nutrients. You also have vitamins, minerals. The last nutrient is water.
Water.
A
Okay.
lot of people don't classify water as a nutrient, but unless you have water, nothing is going to get digested in your body. Your hormones will not work, your metabolism will not work. Right? So that's also a very important nutrient. Now coming to your question about macro and micronutrients. All vitamins and minerals are classified as macro and micro.
Okay.
So those which you require in more quantity are the macronutrients. Those which you require in lesser quantity are the micronutrients.
Okay.
To give you an example, the main nutrients, like you have calcium, that's a macronutrient. Iron is a macronutrient, right? Whereas you think about vitamin B12, it's a micronutrient,
Okay.
right? Things that you need in very less quantity. Selenium is a micronutrient. So I don't want to sound like a biology class or a biochemistry class. So the smaller nutrients, in the sense that you require lesser than 100 grams, are the micronutrients. Those which are available in 100 grams or more are the macronutrients. Okay, which are required for you to lead a healthy life, because basically vitamins and minerals protect you from any kind of deficiency. So if you don't have deficiencies, you don't have diseases.
Okay. So, ma'am, now there is also this, lactose intolerance or
Yes.
gluten resistance,
Right.
insulin resistance, vegan diets. And
Right.
Can you tell us something about these? What do you think?
Yeah.
These are terms which I'm hearing now. I've never not heard these 10 years back. I've never heard this lactose intolerance. Now I'm coming to hear about it. And gluten-free food.
Yes.
Is gluten-free really
It
all
depends.
the
Yeah.
the halabla which is about it? Is it really worth?
Yeah, it depends. Let me tell you one by one. First of all, lactose intolerant basically means it's somebody who cannot tolerate milk items because they're not able to digest the lactose, the milk sugar.
Okay.
It doesn't get digested in their body, so that's why they are not able to take in lactose containing foods, which are all the milk products. Sometimes you have children, we sometimes see children who are lactose intolerant because they're not able to digest this particular sugar, so they cannot have all these milk products. Okay, whether it is milk, whether it is curd, buttermilk, cheese, whatever it is. All right. So that's about the lactose intolerant. You also have people who are gluten intolerant, which means that they have a condition. Basically, there's a condition called celiac disease. Those people should not be taking foods which contain gluten. Okay. So gluten-containing foods are wheat, and you also have anything which is wheat-based, suji, okay, wheat rava. All these are all gluten-containing foods, but they have so many other choices. You can have cornmeal, you can have oats, you can have millets. All these things are all they can all be taken in place of wheat products.
Okay.
But it also depends from person to person. Now, some people, though they are gluten intolerant, can digest some of these foods. So it depends case by case basis. But you don't have to totally give up gluten. Now, what is bad is the processed wheat, processed refined flour. Those are bad. So that's why people generally think it's better to avoid gluten.
Ma'am, we hear that vegetarians have very less options in terms of protein, and they don't get enough protein or B12 and other nutrients in their diet. So they are recommended to take many protein supplements and other pills and other supplements. Do you think that is recommended?
So you don't require to take a protein supplement, frankly, unless it is recommended by a medical practitioner or a dietitian, and that too only if you have some kind of a deficiency. Otherwise, it is not needed. Even if you are a pure vegetarian, you can get protein from combination of foods. For example, we say that protein has about 22 basic amino acids. Okay, so if you have those 22 amino acids, then you have enough protein in your body. For a non-vegetarian, it's easy because they have most of these amino acids, so they're able to make up for it. In the case of vegetarian, you can combine foods, like you can have protein from cereals or pulses, and you can have protein from dairy products. So if you combine pulse protein and dairy protein together, you will get the essential amino acids. So you don't really need to worry about not getting in enough protein in your diet. You just make sure that you have enough what is required for your body to sustain itself.
Ma'am, and if we are going to the gym, we want to build our muscles. So for muscle building, we get recommended a lot to take this supplement, that supplement, this protein powder. With a natural diet, is it possible to build muscles and get the same result as and when if we take the protein powder?
Yes, let me tell you something. That we have to go back a little earlier. In the earlier years, before all these protein supplements came, we did have wrestlers, we did have bodybuilders. Yes? So do you think all these people took supplements? No, they were able to get it from the natural diet, right? So they used to eat more of eggs or more of meat or chicken or whatever. Also, let me just tell you, everybody doesn't need to build muscle. Everybody doesn't need to look good on the outside. Looking good on the outside is not equal to being healthy. You may look great on the outside, but inside, what is happening in your metabolism? Are your hormones working properly? Are your organs working properly? That is more important. So if you want to build muscle, if you're losing muscle because of some particular deficiency, you have some kind of a disease condition or something, then that's a different thing. But otherwise, there is no need for people to directly jump into, building muscle just by taking in high protein foods, because you need to have to work out also that much amount of time. Just by taking in high protein foods, it's not enough. You should also be able to metabolize those nutrients from the protein. Those amino acids also should be utilized. Just doing the bodybuilding exercises or all those weightlifting exercises is not enough. It should be balanced. You should take in enough protein, and you should also work out that much amount of time. And only if you are a full-fledged athlete or a full-fledged sports person, only then you need to do that. Only if you are into competitive sports. If you are a normal person having a day-to-day life, like going for a regular job and all that, you don't need to do all that. To look good,
Who doesn't want to look good?
To look good, you look good, but there is a certain limit. Because sometimes what happens is you may be able to build muscle and all that, but look at the face. Does it have the charm? You've seen people who are great bodybuilders, great wrestlers, Look at the face, look at the other areas of the body. Does it look healthy? It looks very artificial, isn't it? So that's what you need to look at.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, on Instagram and other social media platforms, you're finding a lot of diets. And this the other day I came across this lady saying you should not have fruits because it has too much of fructose and too much of fructose is harmful. And like a lot of youth gets influenced by all these kind of diet fads and diet patterns, and they don't. What would you suggest them to do?
Alright, so basically all fruits are made up of carbohydrates. So every carbohydrate is going to get converted into sugar. You don't have to worry about fructose or dextrose or sucrose or whatever it is.
Okay.
You don't need to worry about that. But what is important is it is coming in a fruit form, which means it contains fiber also along with it.
Okay.
It's not a juice.
Okay.
So you look at the effects of the fiber on the body. Now,
Mhm.
fiber is required to remove toxins from the body. It's required to eliminate all the waste products from the body. And if you don't take enough fiber, then you will have constipation. So you look at the good effects of the fiber. Don't stop eating fruits for this reason that they contain only sugar. They don't really contain all sugar. Okay, if you're going to be sitting and eating only fruits the entire day, then of course you'll have a high sugar level and you'll have sugar spikes.
Okay.
But otherwise, if you're going to balance it out, space it out, then you should be fine.
Okay. Ma'am, now the most common disease in women is PCOD, PCOS, infertility, and insulin resistance. What do you think these can be controlled only through diet? Is there any solution through diet?
Yes, there is a lot of work being done. I see a lot of young girls and women suffering with this PCO. Now, what happens is PCO and obesity are interrelated. Invariably, if a person is overweight, you will have PCO. And if you have PCO, sometimes the main reason is you are overweight. Okay. Now, PCO obviously will happen only to women because it's a hormone-related thing. And what happens in this is there is insulin resistance, which means that the sugar is not getting utilized and it causes the fat to build up and get deposited in your body. So that's why the person becomes overweight, right? So that's the reason why you need to work on the diet plan to make sure that you cut down on the amount of carbohydrates. Not totally cut them out because carbohydrates are essential for the normal metabolism to occur, right? So you need to have carbohydrate, but you cut down and avoid foods which are very, very sweet. Like you can avoid desserts, you avoid high-fat foods, deep-fried items, and all that. So I actually see a lot of women who are also going into fertility treatment, and a lot of women, once they have changed their diet and their lifestyle, have actually gone on and become mothers now.
Okay. So खाना में ही दवा है.
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
Ma'am, nowadays in farming, a lot of foods contain pesticides and fertilizers, and there was even a research conducted where even the mother's milk had amounts of fertilizer, pesticides in it. So in such cases, our food itself is unclean; it's not pure. So how do we protect ourselves from those kind of toxins?
See, nowadays, if you see, we are not getting seasonal fruits.
Okay.
We are getting fruits in all seasons. All fruits are available in all seasons.
Yes.
Same goes for vegetables. That is because farming has changed. The way we used to farm has changed over the years. So nowadays, people are using insecticides, pesticides to make sure that the crop doesn't get destroyed. But what it does is it is getting into the fruits, vegetables, whatever is being cultivated, right? So the best thing that you can do, first of all, you need to wash it well.
Okay.
Wash it well and use some kind of a sanitizing solution.
Okay.
Simple one is chlorine. Chlorine is anyway readily available everywhere. So you can use a chlorine solution to sanitize your vegetables and fruits if you are not sure about the sources.
Okay.
Okay? But the
But
best thing,
chlorine won't harm us.
no, it gets washed. And chlorine is anyway good for you.
Okay.
But it depends how much you dilute. You need to dilute it. Don't use direct chlorine.
Okay.
Okay, you need to dilute it in water. Okay, I would say about 100 parts per million
Okay.
in a bucket of water approximately. And that's how we were actually sanitizing our fruits and vegetables during COVID times. Do you remember?
Yes.
We used to do that.
Yes.
So that's how you need to do it.
Okay.
But the best thing is organic farming.
Okay.
Now, organic farming means, where do you find organic farms? Unless you know an actual producer of fruits and vegetables, a farmer who's actually directly supplying the fruits and vegetables, there is no way, right?
Yes.
So, but I would prefer if you, instead of buying from supermarkets, any food which goes into the supermarket is processed. Okay? Whether it's a fruit, vegetable, grain, pulses, whatever you buy in a supermarket has to be preserved for a longer shelf life.
Yes.
It needs to stay good until you take it home.
Definitely.
So obviously it is undergoing some kind of processing.
Mm.
Whereas if you buy fruits and vegetables from the local market,
Mm.
from your street market or whatever it is, from your local market,
Mm.
then of course you are at least 50% sure that it is organic.
Mm.
And when you take it home or when you're buying it, you will find that some are rotten, some are good. You pick out the ones which are nice and you bring them home.
Yeah.
That itself shows that it is naturally grown,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
And once you get back home, sometimes you cut one or two vegetables and see that one or two others may have worms or something. That means it's natural. As simple as that. Okay. The other thing that you can do is you make sure that you wash it well and you cook it well, but you don't overcook and don't deep fry everything. Because when you deep fry, you're killing all the nutrients which are available.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, is there any message you'd like to give our viewers?
Yes. Now, for anybody who is watching this, my message would be that don't get carried away by all the misinformation out there. There's too much of information available on social media, and unless it is a proper practicing nutritionist or dietitian, don't listen and don't follow to whatever you hear. Please make sure you consult somebody as far as possible. If you can't meet them physically, at least use a phone, call them up, or do an online consultation. But unless a person sees you physically, they will not be able to give you a proper diet for whatever reason you may need to take it, either for weight loss or for any kind of condition like diabetes or cardiovascular disease or any other condition that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, ma'am, and for all the valuable insights you gave us.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.